All right, welcome to the cow pen. Here's our cows. This is Jelly Bean and Henrietta over there. Our cows that we have here are Jersey cows. They're a breed that's mostly used for dairy, and we do use them for dairy here. We like to keep one cow in milk so that we can show all of our students that come here and our public what it's like to milk a cow and the process of milking a cow. This one here happens to be a mini Jersey, so she's a miniature breed. She weighs only about 600 pounds, but our full-size Jersey over there, Henrietta, weighs roughly about 1,000 pounds, so she's a bit bigger. These cows originally, the breed comes from the Isle of Jersey near Great Britain, and they have been domesticated for thousands of years. So they've been around a long time as a breed that works just with people, not a wild breed. Let's go in the pen and get a closer look at these girls so you can see what they're like. This one is definitely more curious. And you might also note Henrietta is sort of pushing her head against that bar. She's about 7 months pregnant right now, and she sometimes feels a little bit uncomfortable, and I think she gets headaches because she likes to hide her face sometimes. Poor girl. But she's due in about mid-November, and their gestation is a little over 9 months long. So just like a person, she's got to carry that thing around for quite a while. And they usually do only have one calf at a time. Multiple calves are pretty rare. All right, let's go in. We'll meet them in. I have some treats here too that this will want. Oh, you're a good girl. So these cows are pretty friendly. They are halter broken and they're used to being with people. Jelly Bean really likes the apples that we grow right here in our orchard. So she loves these as a treat. That's why she's wanting to come over. But normally she also just wants to come over and get petted. I'm not too worried about feeding her treats, about my fingers getting bit, because cows actually don't have any teeth on the top here. On the top palate, they just have teeth on the bottom, and they've got really great molars in the back for grinding up their food. Because they're an animal that eats only grasses and plants, those teeth are designed to just rip things out from the ground and then grind them up in the back. Oh, she's like, you don't have any more apples, so I'm gonna walk away. You can tell also over here, this is Henrietta. She was recently being milked. We just dried her off. Her udder is sort of full looking, if you can see it. And Jelly Bean also, we are milking right now too. So big udder on these girls. They do have 4 sections to their udder and 4 teats to feed their babies with. And the teat is that section hanging down, and we'll learn about that more in our milking section. And these girls right now are only giving about 1 gallon to 2 gallons a day, but in their peak production, they can give up to 6 gallons of milk a day. We like this breed because their fat content to their milk is really high. They have very high butter fat content for Jersey cows. So they make really nice ice cream or butter. Hey, big girl. And this one, like I said, is just really friendly, so she just wants some snuggles, huh? You're a good girl. They have really big eyes here on the side. They are a prey animal, so they have eyes on the side instead of in the front. What else about you? They're also ruminant animals, so if you heard her burp at all while we've been standing here, they do burp quite a bit. They have 4 stomach compartments, and that one of their stomach compartments, called the rumen, acts like a big fermenting vat. So it breaks down all that grass and dry material that they eat, but it also produces a lot of gas. So you may hear lots of burps coming out of these girls while we're standing here with them too. Some things out the other end too, but we won't talk about that. Let's see what else. I mean, poor Henrietta over there is pressing her head against the gate. I think she doesn't feel great today. You might also notice that Henrietta over there has a mask on. She's very fashionable, just like our masks these days. but her mask is actually there to protect her from flies. These cows do get preyed on by particular type of flies that do feed on their blood, and then another type of fly that will also feed on eye secretions, if you can believe it. Yuck. So that mask keeps the flies out of her eyes. And Jellybean is very interested in you. Well, she wants to know if that's something that she can eat, I think. Well, she wants to say hi. Is that delicious? All right, and you'll see some similarities between cows and goats and sheep when we move on to our goats and sheep next too. All right, here we are at our goat pen. So this is where our goats live outside during the day. We have a few different breeds of goat in here that we'll talk about and meet. Goats are very friendly, so we may get nibbled on when we go in here. And they are also herd animals, so they do like to be together. They do not like being separated. They can become pretty depressed if actually one of them is left on their own away from their herd. So they're definitely explorative, and they will nibble on us when we go in. And goats actually are one of the oldest domesticated animals. They've been domesticated for over 9,000 years, I believe. They're one of the first animals to live with people, basically. So they are very bred for people to be their friends. So let's come on in. So standing right here, greeting us, is one of our goats. This is Tonks. She is a miniature breed of goat. So she's probably only about 60 pounds, and she's not going to get much bigger than this. She's a miniature Nubian. So some of you maybe have seen the full-size Nubian, and here she comes right now. This is Trudy. She's our oldest goat here. She's our grandma. She is about 10 years old, which is about the lifespan of a goat, and she's a full-size Nubian goat. So one of the characteristics of that Nubian breed is these big, long, beautiful puppy dog ears, and this nice big Roman-looking nose. So the Nubian is a great dairy goat. They're known for good dairy production and also that butterfat content like we talked about with the cows. The Nubians have one of the highest for the goats too, so really good creamy milk on a Nubian goat. Goats can produce quite a bit of milk, so around the world actually more people drink goat milk than they drink cow's milk, because goats are a lot easier to raise in your backyard and they're a lot cheaper to feed. And they can make still quite a lot of milk. So I was saying that our cows over there are making maybe a gallon or two of milk a day right now. This goat right here, this is Penny. And if you can come around the back to see, well, she's been milked this morning already, but you'll see the size of her udder is pretty large. She's got 2 sections to her udder, just 2 teats for goats to feed their babies. But this goat here makes about a gallon of milk every day right now. So she makes a ton of milk. She could definitely feed your family. She's a skinny girl right now. All that milk making is hard. But again, these are animals that have been bred for production over thousands of years. And a lot of times their bodies, that's what they're working to do, put a lot of their energy into milk making. Penny here is a crossbreed of dairy breeds. And no, we didn't crop her ears. I know we get a lot of people ask us about that. This little tiny ear is called a gopher-shaped ear, and it is a characteristic of a breed called La Mancha, and that's what type Penny is here. She's a cross between a La Mancha and an Alpine goat. And those 2 breeds are also dairy breeds, so she's a very good milk maker. These goats, in order to make milk, do have to have babies, and same with the cows. So once a year we do breed some of them. Their gestation is about 5 months long, so we usually breed them in the fall, and they have their babies in the spring, and they're called kids when they're born, just like our kids. So they usually have between 2 to 3 kids. They could have just 1 kid too, these big breeds. Believe it or not, our miniature breeds, and let's go over and meet some of our mini breeds over here. So we met Tonks, our mini Nubian. These are our Nigerian dwarfs. Again, they're pretty small. They weigh about 60 to 70 pounds, our Nigerian dwarfs here. Hi, girl. And the Nigerian dwarf is also a breed that has been bred for dairy production. So they are a dairy breed. There's another miniature breed called Pygmy that is about the size of a Nigerian dwarf that has traditionally been bred more for meat production, but they're a dairy breed here. These little Nigerian dwarfs, believe it or not, can have anywhere between 1 to 5 babies at a time. And when they kid, and actually this one here has every year had either 4 or 5 kids in one kidding. It's amazing. I don't know how all those little babies fit in that tiny little goat, but she's an amazing goat. So that was Pippin over there. This is Mary. And Mary, you can see actually if you get close up to her, she is doing something right now. She's chewing. She's sitting there and she is chewing. And anybody who's seen cows or goats or sheep before may have seen this. Oh, Trudy. That chewing all the time. They're chewing their cud. So goats and sheep and cows, they're all ruminant animals. It means they have 4 stomach compartments. And the way that their digestive system works actually is that all of that hay and that grass and stuff goes down into that first stomach compartment, and then they regurgitate it up. Oh, bless you. To chew it again until they have chewed it so much that they have gotten all the nutrients out of it. So essentially, actually, that regurgitation is just my fancy way of saying they sort of throw up their food many times a day. So actually they are chewing, I think they do something like 20,000 chews a day of their food to get it so that they can squeeze all the nutrients out of that plant material, which is sort of amazing because they eat foods that we would never be able to digest. So the other thing you might notice about some of our goats too is that they can look kind of wide even though they're not pregnant. And that again is due to that digestive system. That first stomach compartment there, which is called the rumen, acts like a big fermenting vat, and so it fills up also with gases as part of their breaking down their food. So again, goats and sheep and cows are really burpy and really farty. So a lot of gases coming out of these animals, but they are amazing in that they're able to take a food that we could never eat and turn it into wonderful nutrients and then churn out milk on their udders for us to drink too. So pretty amazing. Trudy here also suffers from arthritis. She's an old girl. She gets arthritis medication once a day, but she's still moving around, and she's a sweet goat. We love her. One other thing we might want to look at on these goats too, if we can get close to Miss Mary. This is Mary. You might notice about their eyes. We talked a little bit about how they are prey animals and they have eyes on the side of their heads so that they can better see their predators coming up on them. Goats also have this rectangular pupil in their eye, very different shape to their eye pupil, and it also allows them to see at a wider angle. So that rectangular pupil actually gives them more of almost a 340-degree eyesight, so they can see almost around the sides of them to make sure that they can see anything that might sneak up on them. It also gives them better nighttime vision too. And goats, contrary to many people's belief, don't just eat anything. They are naturally foraging animals, so they're not grazers, they're actually foragers. They are from mountain and hill environments originally, and they're foraging animals, but they have very sensitive mouths and lips, so they do a lot of testing. So like this one in particular, let's see if she does. This one likes to nibble clothing. But they like to test things with their mouth first to see if it is something that they can eat. Are you gonna nibble me? No. Before they chew on it. But they won't actually just eat anything, and in fact they're actually pretty picky eaters. They won't eat a lot of hay that's fallen on the ground or been soiled or stepped on. They don't like to eat things that have gone stale at all. So they're pretty particular about the food they actually do eat, but they will, however, test things a lot by nibbling. That's kind of the way that baby people do too, right? Little babies, they use their mouths a lot for testing things in their environment, and so the goats do the same. They don't have fingers, so they have to use their mouths. All of our goats here are females. We call female goat a doe. We might get to visit some of our bucks later. Our buck is a male goat. And some of you might have asked because you may have seen that some of our goats here have these beautiful beards too. But even though they have beards, they are in fact females. All right, so this is where we store our hay. We thought we'd give you just a quick look at hay storage. So this is Where we keep it, we feed them alfalfa hay and grass hay mostly for all of our ruminant animals that live here. So our alfalfa hay provides most of the protein for the animals. It's a legume plant, and just dried grass on our orchard grass hay here. These are our feeders that they eat through in the evening, and so you can see they're very eager already. Ooh. They stick their heads through these holes and we put the food in, and they are very excited. Yum, 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 yum. This is a great feeder system for us, for goats, because goats otherwise would sit in their food bins and poop in them. So this keeps them out of their feed. Hi, you're so cute. This is the barn they go in at night too. We do protect all of our animals from predators in the evenings. So any animal smaller than a cow goes in a barn at night, because we do have mountain lions here and coyotes and things that would gobble up these little guys. So they're all protected. Oh. Somebody on the trail. From predators at night. So we provide nice shelter for all our animals, feed, and all of our animals also drink out of automatic waterers in their barns too. So they have little lick-sits is what they're called, and it's basically a little spout that the animals put their mouths on, and when it's pressed, the water comes out. So they always have nice, fresh, clean water to drink too. So we'll leave you to eating your food. Here we are at our sheep pen. It's right next door to our goat pen. We'll go in and meet our sheep. We have two varieties of sheep in here, roughly types. Two of our sheep are really good wool producers, so they have a fleece that it makes very nice yarn. Those are our Finn sheep. They're the black colored sheep you'll see in here. And then the other breeds of sheep that we have are crosses and mixes of horned Dorset, and Dorper is one of them. And they're traditionally breeds of sheep that people would raise more for meat. So their fleeces aren't as fabulous. We still do use them for yarn, but the black ones are the ones that have very nice fleeces. We'll go on in and meet them if they'll let us get close. One thing we'll notice about sheep, well, of course, she's gonna come right over, different from goats, is that they are also herd animals, so they want to be with their herd. They want to stay protected with their herd. Woo! But they are a lot flightier than goats. Goats are a lot more curious. They usually will come up to you. They're a little bit more friendly. And sheep are a lot more cautious. They are sheepish. So they will run away when they hear loud noises and people they don't know, and they'll group together to stay protected. So let's go on over. We'll see if we can get a little bit closer. Hi, girls. She might let me pet her if I sit down here on a stump and be still. So you saw the energy is different. Oh, she's gonna come right over to you. In that the sheep want you to be a lot more still. They don't want you to move as much. It scares them. They are a lot flightier. Nobody's coming over, so let's come on over them and see if they let us get a little closer. You can see our Finn sheep are running away right away. They said, I don't want to be anywhere near you. I don't know what you're doing. This is Bowie here and her lamb from this year. This is one of her lambs. Buddy. This lamb here is about 5 months old now. Oh, she's going to go back. We'll see if we can get our hands on Bowie. So like I said, we use them for wool. People raise sheep for their wool in a lot of parts too. So we shear them once a year in April, and we do send a lot of our fleeces out to be turned into yarn. We send it to a mill. One really cool thing, if we can get close enough to pet one, is how much fleece they grow. She's not gonna let me get close at all. And how oily their fleeces are. So sheep produce something really neat, an oil called lanolin, and we use that lanolin in a lot of our beauty products and self-care products. It's really moisturizing, but it also helps to protect their fleeces against weather too. So pretty neat byproduct of the fleece. Let's see if we can get, this is Mint over here. Come on, Minty. Hi, come here. So just like the goats, they are also ruminant animals, like we mentioned earlier. Burpy, farty, 4 stomachs. They have the same eye shape too. A lot of ways their biology is really similar to goats. But I would say that big difference is their character is a lot flightier. Let's see if she goes over to Jess. Yes. Sometimes I fear I'm the person that has to give them shots and do all their healthcare needs. So when I'm come in here, sometimes they think I'm trying to catch them for something. You do, my girl.
Especially when a few of us come in.
Yeah. What are you gonna do to me? They do like being scratched. So sometimes if you get them right in the right spot, they give you a nice lip. Oh, let's go over here. You can feel how greasy your fingers will feel after you scratch them. And that's due to that lanolin in their fleece. Come here. You can let me scratch you? You little stinker. We got one more we can try. We can try Pepper. Let's see. We can go on into their barn. Oh, you're all grouped together. And you can see that natural tendency to all group up in a herd, their flock. What we would call a flock of sheep. They want to stay together to be protected. In our barn here we have Pepper. She is the alpha sheep of this group, so she is the bossy pants one. And this is one of, believe it or not, one of her lambs in here. Oh, he's a little afraid. From this year, he's also only 5 months old, but he's huge. Oh! And out she pops. We can see in here too, similar thing. We've got feeders and a protected shelter space for them. And here's that Lick-Sit, like we were talking about earlier. And I push it in the water, it comes out. So we know that they always have clean source of water, which is great. Nobody wants to be friends with me today. You're all nervous. I don't know that we'll get close to any of y'all today. Pepperoni, come here. Pepper and Mint we raised as lambs here, so they're a little bit more friendly towards us. They've known us a long time, but still those flighty instincts. Little girl. Okay, now you can see. When their fleeces get really long, I can usually get all the way down to my first knuckle in that wool. Good girl. There we go. And I'll show you my fingers afterwards too. Let's see. Whoa, that feels good. Yes, good girl. Now these are Pepper's two lambs there. Both have horns. She is a horned Dorset variety, so her lambs have horns. A lot of sheep breeds now have been bred hornless, so they don't have horns, but this breed in particular has them. Big boy. Let's see. Yes, very greasy fingers now. Not a very pleasant color, but a lot of nice grease for my hands. A good moisturizer. Good girl. Here we go. I want to look at their udder. She's got a small udder. There are some sheep that are used for milking. They don't obviously produce as much milk as a cow or a goat, but they do have a very high fat content to their milk, so it does make some really good cheeses. So in some areas, people do raise sheep also for their dairy. Of course, now I've given you scratches, you want more. All right, girl. Now we've seen all of our ruminant animals. We'll move on to our rabbits next. Here we have some of our baby chickens for the year. We raise chicks once a year. That helps to replace some of our older laying hens that we have on site. And we usually use about 30 of them. So normally our summer campers get in here and pick up all those baby chicks. This is what they look like at a few months old now. What we would call them at this point is pullets. So pullets are any baby chickens sort of under the age of 6 months, which is about the time that they would, 6 months is about the time they would start laying eggs. So these are all of our pullets right now. We can go on in and take a little bit of a closer look at these girls. So we have a few different varieties here, all different types of different egg layers. These some of these that we have here have feathery legs, which is pretty neat, big feathery feet. And now I'm probably not saying the pronunciation of this right, but believe these are Cochin chickens. We also have Brahmas. Some of these in here are, what else are you guys in here? I cannot recall. But we do order usually a variety of chicks every year. He's a cute little guy. We do allow them a space that's sort of next to our chicken pen so that they get to see the big chickens and be near the adult chickens before we actually integrate them. And this helps a lot because the chickens do actually follow a very rigid pecking order. That is where the term comes from, because they will peck the other new chickens when they come into the coop. So they do want to establish an order of dominance. And so it helps a lot when our new chickens are able to see and touch through the fence, but be protected until they are ready to be put in with the big chickens. We have a little kiddie pool here to give them some extra water during these hot days, and an umbrella. They eat a special food that's just a crumbled up feed. It's made out of corn and oats and other grains and has specialized protein content for little baby chickens. So we order all of our chicks here from a hatchery out west called McMurray. They actually come in the mail. They ship them to us. And we do that in large part because they have really good biosecurity practices at that hatchery. We know we're getting healthy birds. And they also sex the chickens for us, which means that they make sure that we're getting females only when they send them to us, except it's not always 100% accurate. And I can, oh, you are definitely a rooster. I was gonna say, I can tell this one is gonna be a rooster already, because if you look at the top of his head, he has a nice big comb growing in already on the top. That's what this top part is. And these wattles down below. He'll eventually get spurs on the back of his legs, and he'll be here to protect the hens. If you look at the other pullets right now, you'll see that they don't really have much of a comb growing in yet. They'll get little ones, and some of the breeds will have smaller than others. This guy is definitely going to be a rooster. So we've seen our chicks here that'll eventually become our laying hens in with the rest of our flock. And now we'll make our way over to take a look at our adult hens. Here we are in our chicken coop that houses our approximately 50 to 60 chickens that we have here at Deer Hollow Farm. We have a bank of nesting boxes over here, and this is where the chickens will lay their eggs. Each chicken does have the ability to lay 1 egg per day, and those eggs, I know we get a lot of questions on whether or not we have to be worried that they're going to hatch baby chickens. They probably won't. They do have to be fertilized by the rooster before making a chick inside of there, but that process for the chicken to hatch out of the egg actually takes about 21 days, and it does need to stay warm. So unless the hen is sitting on those eggs, they're not going to hatch. What we do is we collect them in the morning and just pop them right in the refrigerator. So we can see there are a few eggs in the nesting box already. You might see one nesting box is like this one down here that has 2 eggs in it already. And a lot of times the birds actually do like to lay eggs in the nest box that already has eggs in it, because to them that shows them that that must be a safe place to lay eggs. If somebody else laid their egg there, it must be pretty safe. So we will often see nest boxes that have 4 or 5 eggs piled up in them just because the birds already saw somebody laying there. We have a variety of chickens here. If you just saw somebody's going in there, maybe she wants to lay her egg next. This one has feathers on her head. So earlier we saw our chicks with feathers on their legs. There's a lot of breeds that also have feathery heads there. So we have crested Polish chickens with feathery heads, and these are mottled Houdans that have feathery heads as well. The chickens all breeds, depending on the breed, will lay different colors of eggs or different sizes of eggs. So at the grocery store, you're gonna find mostly brown eggs or white eggs, and that only has to do with what the breed is. So it doesn't affect the nutrition of the egg at all. That nutritive quality of the egg is not affected by the color. So if you take a look in the box of eggs we collected this morning, you will see that we have a variety of colors here, and the browns are all slightly different. We've got some greens. Oh, we're missing a white. We don't have a lot of white egg layers. Actually, those mottled Houdans and those crested Polish lay littler white eggs. We don't have a lot of them. So the egg color mostly, I said, comes from breeds. So you'll get brown egg colors mostly from North American breeds of chickens. You'll get these green egg colors coming from more South American breeds of chicken, and those white eggs are usually Mediterranean breeds of chicken that lay those white eggs. So again, it's just breed specific, and it does not affect the actual nutrition. But it does make a really pretty box of eggs. So we like to look at those pretty eggs in there. Our chickens are allowed. They make a lot of different vocalizations to talk to each other, to warn each other about predators. Let you know what's going on. Oh my goodness. Now we'll try to get on the roosting bar. Behind me are our roosting bars. They do want to come in at night to roost, so to get up. And that's an instinct to protect them so they don't get eaten by a predator at night. So they all come in here to roost. They eat also similar feed to the chicks. It is a mix of corn and grains and in a pellet that we leave for them in a feeder. Let's come on outside. It will be a little less noisy. You are loud. And we'll throw down a little bit of scratch for them. This is just basically cracked corn, which they love. A lot of times we put this down in the evening inside so they'll come in. But you can see we have quite a few different varieties of chicken. You can probably pick out our roosters by those nice long tails and that extra comb on the top that is larger. They are usually more colorful too. And they have those big spurs in the back to help them protect the flock. We've got one really large rooster over here. He's that, and I'm not probably pronouncing this right, but that Cochin breed again, with those fluffy pants on. Girls, yum yum. And they're eyeballing me. The roosters, as I move around, you might see them actually, they're gonna follow me, usually with their eyes, or actually follow me to make sure that I'm not doing anything harmful to their flock ahead. We can pick one up, but I don't. Let's see, if I can grab one, I will. Oh. Okay. Here's one of our girls, and I mentioned earlier, this is one of those ones with the feathers on her head. This is a crested Polish chicken. Hi, girl. She lays those little white eggs, which we didn't have any of, but you can see their feet. They've got the 3 toes with the long claws on each toe. She's being quite calm for me right now. Hey, girls. They're just enjoying their corn. All right, let's head on to meet our next animals on the farm. Let's go on in and meet our ducks now. This is where we keep our ducks and our geese. They have their own private pond to swim in here. Again, we've got a shelter for them so they keep safe from predators at night. I'm actually quite surprised right now that the geese aren't yelling at us. We have 3 geese in this pen. They're the only ones with names because we only have 3 of them. So we've got Athena, Ryan, and Lucy. And normally geese, and you can see them in the corner. There they go. There they go. Geese are kind of like the watchdogs of the animal kingdom here. They do, they're very territorial, and they do alarm whenever they see anything out of ordinary in their environment. So when somebody new comes in, they're usually quite vocal about it. But here are geese. The white one here is the male. He's a gander. He is a partner to the smaller gray ones. That's Ryan and Lucy. And geese actually mate for life. So these are a bonded pair that'll be together until they die, hopefully. And geese actually can live quite a long time. I have seen up to 20 years on some geese. So they'll have a nice long life here at Deer Hollow Farm. Here's our ducks having a nice swim. I'll see if any of them go under. You'll notice that they do have, they produce a special oil that keeps their feathers sort of waterproofed so that the water rolls right off. And we feed them a similar feed to what our chickens eat too. They have to eat in a very different way though because their beaks are nice and flat. Inside their beaks are little serrated edges that are kind of like teeth. And what they do normally in the wild would be to actually sift food through the water. So they're getting gulps full and sifting out the water, and the food stays behind. They're pretty messy eaters here because they do need the water to moisten their food. So they make a big mess wherever they're eating because they'll grab the feed and then they'll go and get some water to stop. Hey, duckies. They do also lay eggs just like our chickens. So they have the ability to lay 1 egg a day as well, the ducks. Our ducks are a little older, so they're not laying every day now. The geese have a laying period. They have oh, now you're loud. Now you want to say something. They have a set number of eggs that they lay per year, and they have a laying season. Usually starts in about February here and goes for a couple months where they'll be laying eggs. Yes, you're quite loud. You're doing a good job. We'll go on ahead and meet some other critters at the farm next. Here we are in our rabbit pen. We have a few different breeds of rabbit here. So we've got some big bunnies and some little bunnies. Our smaller breeds in here, this is Pineapple and Kanga. Pineapple is the black bunny here. She is a mini Rex. Their nickname is also a velveteen rabbit because their hair is, now here's where I wish you could actually be here with me and feel them. It feels like velvet. And that's due in large part to the fact that the hair doesn't grow in one particular direction. It sort of grows up, so you can pet them backwards and forwards, and it'll feel the same. Let me see if I can grab her. Hi! Oh! You want to be picked up. And these are little girls in here. They do have to live, whoa, separate from our big girls because bunnies that aren't raised together actually don't get along very well. So they can be rather aggressive and territorial as well towards each other. So these two bunnies have been bonded together. Oh, you're being shy. And they will not get along well with our big bunnies. Okay, on the other end of the spectrum here we have really large bunnies, one of the largest breed of bunnies. And these are Flemish Giants. Hi, girl. Under here, this is Peaches. Oh, you're a sweet girl. Where's your sister? And we also have her sister, Banana. And I bet you will find her in here. Here she is. She's in the barn. It's a little hot today, and actually rabbits are pretty sensitive to heat, so they're going to find best ways to cool off. In our barn, we do have a concrete floor in a section, so she does like to get down on the concrete. Hi! To cool off. Oh, pretty girl. You'll see her big, lovely ears that she has here. And as I mentioned, that they're really sensitive to heat, the ears are another great mechanism to help them cool off. So when they are feeling hot, a lot of times you'll see their ears go up and spread out because all these little blood vessels in here will help them to release the heat. When they're feeling really cold, then they can tuck the ears down into their body to try to conserve heat a little bit. But now she's just tucking them in so I can give her a pet. Might be a little difficult to see here, but I saw her. Rabbits also have an extra membrane over their eye, that nictitating membrane that goes, whoo, she's shedding right now. Yeah, so you may see that flick over her eye a few times as we're petting here. You might wonder what that is, and that just helps to keep, it's just an extra protection for their eyes to keep debris and things out. Are you shedding? She is definitely shedding a lot of her hair at the moment because it is hot and she's getting rid of all that winter hair. Hey, cutie. Oh, good girl. So you can see how big she is. I mean, in comparison to me, big bunny. She can be, this breed can get up to 20, I think I've seen even 25-pound bunnies that are this Flemish Giant breed. And we have 2 females here, and we also have 1 male. So let's go meet Paul. Hey, buddy. Here's Paul. He's our male bunny. So just like goats, they're called bucks and does. So this is our buck. The females are the does. Paul is also a really sweet bunny here. Hey, buddy. I'm not going to let you all the way out. Let me get in there with you. We feed them a pellet also that is basically a dried plant material. So they get an alfalfa-based pellet, and our little bunnies get a Timothy hay-based pellet. Feed them plenty of fresh water as well, and then grass hay too. They do need that vegetable material to keep their digestion running smoothly, so they definitely need to also eat grass hay on top of pellets. You're shedding too, oh my goodness. And this is a really good example you can see on his butt here of all this undercoat is just shedding off here. All that fluffy extra hair. The female bunnies would actually pull a lot of their own hair out to make nests out of too. So this is great nesting material for when they have their babies. Bunnies really can have a lot of babies at one time and very often during the year. So a rabbit gestation, now this is crazy, rabbit gestation is only about 30 days long. So they're only pregnant for 30 days before they have their babies. So you can have a lot of baby bunnies in a year. And Paul is just gonna take a snooze back here. When it gets really hot, he likes to burrow into the dirt and kind of give himself a little dust bath to keep cool too. Hey Paul, you're gonna take a snooze now, aren't you, buddy? All right. I think, oh, we'll go on and see one of our other animals now at the farm. All right, and no tour would be complete without visiting our very handsome boys. So these are our bucks. They're our male goats. They live here on their own little bachelor pad on the hillside. This is Judd and Jermaine, and they're quite smelly. They have a very particular odor, these bucks, but very beautiful hairdos. You're so handsome. They need haircuts just like we do right now. Except their beautiful hair is to attract the female goats that live on site too. So you can see they've got these lovely hair and beards and these beautiful mantles of hair in the back too. Are you so handsome or what? Are you gonna give everybody a nice little send off? Are these giving you a kiss goodbye? Are you gonna give everybody a kiss goodbye? Yes. Beautiful beards, aren't they, girls? Oh, you miss Pippi. And none of them are chewing on me, which is contrary to what I said they would do. It's about midday here right now, so they've already eaten a lot of their breakfast, and most of the rest of the day they want to just get out of the sun and take a little snooze. So maybe we'll leave them to their naps for now, and we'll go on and meet our next animals.